You know that feeling when someone says one small thing and suddenly your whole day is ruined? What if I told you that feeling only lasts about 90 seconds unless you keep feeding it? Most people don't know this, but the body naturally releases and clears stress chemicals in about a minute and a half. After that, the only reason anger stays alive is because we keep replaying the story in our minds. We keep repeating what they said, what we should have said back, and how wrong they were. It's like having a smoke alarm go off because the toast burned, but instead of opening a window, you keep burning more toast. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic or someone makes a rude comment, pay attention. That first wave of heat in your body, the rush of stress hormones, is just the 90-second chemical surge. But then, your mind starts the story. What an idiot. Why would they do that? And suddenly you're angry for 20 minutes, or even the rest of the day. When you understand that the emotion itself is brief, and the rest is your mind replaying the event, something powerful happens. You realize you actually have a choice. You can let the feeling pass, or you can feed the fire. You probably know someone who stays calm almost all the time. They're not superhuman. They just understand something most people don't. Your emotions don't control you unless you let them. And no one else has the power to push your buttons unless those buttons already exist inside you. We often say things like, "They really know how to get to me," as if other people have remote control access to our emotions. But the truth is, no one can push buttons you don't give them. Every trigger you have is connected to an old wound, an old insecurity, or a value you feel has been violated. When someone triggers you, they're not creating your emotion. They're revealing a part of you that still needs healing. Think about that one person who always seems to set you off. A coworker, a family member, someone who always hits the same nerve. Instead of reacting automatically, pause and ask yourself, what is this really about? Maybe their tone reminds you of someone from your past. Maybe their behavior mirrors an old pain you never addressed. Suddenly, the power shifts. They're not controlling your emotions. You're beginning to understand them. And when you understand them, they lose power over you. Here's something most people never learn. Anger is almost never the real emotion. Anger is the emotional security guard that shows up to protect you from something softer underneath. Hurt, fear, shame, disappointment. When someone criticizes you and you get angry, you're not just angry. You're hurt that they didn't see your value. But anger feels safer than saying, "That hurt my feelings." When a partner forgets something important, you might explode in frustration, but underneath it, you're wondering, do I matter to you? When you learn to name the emotion beneath the anger, you create space for real connection. You speak from the heart instead of from the defensive shield. There is always a moment, tiny but powerful, between the trigger and your reaction. In that moment, you have a choice. Most people don't even know that moment exists. But when you start noticing it, your entire emotional world changes. Instead of reacting on autopilot, you pause, you breathe. You ask yourself, what response will I be proud of tomorrow? That question alone shifts your brain out of the emotional storm and back into clarity. Imagine someone sends you a passive-aggressive message. Your first impulse might be to snap back immediately. But before you do, give yourself just a little space. In that brief pause, you take back your power. You're no longer a pinball bouncing around based on what others do. You become the one steering the moment. That's emotional strength. You also have a part of you that can watch your emotions without becoming them. This is your inner observer. It's the part of you that can notice, anger is rising, instead of saying, I am angry. It's the part that can say, I'm having the thought that this person is being rude, instead of declaring, this person is rude. That tiny shift creates emotional distance. Suddenly, your teenager rolling their eyes doesn't send you into a spiral. You simply notice irritation rising. And from that place, you can choose a calm, clear response instead of a reactive one. Your observer self gives you emotional immunity. You can feel the emotion without being taken over by it. Even difficult people can become emotional trainers. Think about it. The people who annoy you the most are actually giving you the most opportunities to grow. That micromanaging boss is training your patience. That gossiping coworker is training your boundaries. That family member who always criticizes is teaching you self-worth. You wouldn't get stronger physically without resistance. Emotional strength is the same. Every difficult interaction is like a rep in the gym. You don't have to like these people, but you can use them to grow stronger. That brings us to boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They're filters. They let good things in and keep harmful things out. Healthy boundaries sound like, I want to talk about this, but not when voices are raised, or I can listen, but only if you're open to finding solutions. Boundaries protect your energy. They help you stay calm instead of drained. They make your relationships healthier instead of heavier. Sometimes the calmest choice is to take space. There's a difference between running away and taking a strategic timeout. A timeout is when you say, this conversation matters, but I need a moment so I can respond well. It prevents damage that takes days or weeks to fix. We've all said things in the heat of the moment that we didn't mean. Timeouts stop that from happening. You can also map your emotional triggers so they stop surprising you. No one is triggered randomly. Your patterns repeat. Certain tones, gestures, or situations remind you of old experiences. When you start noticing your patterns, you stop walking into emotional landmines. You start stepping around them. You start preparing for them. Preparation turns emotional chaos into emotional clarity. As you learn to protect your energy, you'll see that you can care about people without carrying their emotions. You can be supportive without drowning in someone else's stress. You can love someone deeply without absorbing their anger, fear, or panic. This is called compassionate distance. It lets you stay open-hearted without losing yourself. Finally, most of your emotional pain comes from the story you tell yourself, not the event itself. Someone uses a sharp tone and your mind creates a story. They don't respect me. Someone forgets to reply, and your mind creates another story. I'm not important. But those are stories, not facts. When you question your stories, everything changes. You stop reacting to assumptions and start responding to reality. All of these tools work only if you practice them. Not perfectly, just consistently. Pick one skill and focus on it for a week. Maybe it's the 90-second rule. Maybe it's naming the emotion under anger. Maybe it's finding your choice point before reacting. Every time you choose a new response, you're training your brain. You're rewiring old emotional habits. You're becoming calmer, stronger, harder to shake. Nobody is born emotionally unshakable. People who stay calm under pressure have simply practiced these skills over and over until they became automatic. And you can do the same. Imagine living your life without being controlled by other people's moods. Imagine being unbothered by rude comments. Imagine being centered even when things go wrong. That version of you is not far away. It's already inside you, waiting for practice to bring it to the surface. You don't control what people say or do, but you control what you choose to feel. And once you learn that, no one will ever have power over your peace again.